Welcome back, my beautiful people. November 9th, 2020, Dong City, episode number 39. We're creeping up there on the episode list. Vince Mercandetti, Rob Martinez. We still got baseball to talk about. No World Series, but we're still talking shit. So welcome back to Dong City, fellas.
Dong City's about to catch you, the big 4-0 next episode.
That's right, baby.
How you doing, Henry?
I'm good. I can't complain. Everything's good. It's dark as hell outside.
Yeah.
We're adjusting. Watching these awards live as we're on. So there's a lot going on. Can't wait to get to this show because we got a lot of good stuff to talk about here. We do have a president announced. Well, depends on what side of the aisle you're on.
Right. Yeah.
But we do have a president-elect. So yeah, it's a good show. Things are headed in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot going on in the country, a lot going on in baseball. We're kind of back to our roots here, doing a little bit of just news and then also finding some new subjects to cover. So this week we have the top 15 free agents for me making predictions on where they're going to go. I've taken copious notes for that. We do have some updates at the top of the hour here, and then also some updates at the bottom of the hour when we are wrapping up. So stay tuned for that as well. Let's get right into it. We just a little bit of a Justin Turner update, and he'll be mentioned later in this show. The Dodgers, last I checked, are up to 9 positive COVID tests. So
before you continue, I felt when we started the season, before we had baseball, we were starting every episode with the COVID update.
Yeah.
And then we had no tests for God knows how many consecutive weeks. And then here comes Justin Turner just fucking it all up, man.
Right through the playoffs, we were good. We didn't have to talk about COVID. It really went from I think after the Cardinals outbreak, there was 1 or 2 one-offs, and then we were pretty much good the rest of the season. Then Justin Turner comes along and, like a wildling that he is, screws everything up, and here we are. So now the Dodgers have an outbreak in the after season. Turner doesn't get punished, of course, because why would you do that? And here we are. So.
Yeah, it's very foolish, very selfish, and just obtuse. And for MLB baseball to do absolutely nothing about it, it's a joke. It just says that our rules mean nothing.
Yeah.
Even in the post-COVID season, you got to lay down a hammer there. He won't give a shit. Fine him, give the money to charity, suspend him for next season. You got to do something to lay down the hammer. You just basically say, don't worry about it. Go celebrate. So
what's weird about Manfred, he lays down the hammer in all the wrong places. He'll make the 2 biggest shots he has, right? Getting a handle over COVID, because this could affect the 2021 season. I mean, I wouldn't rule that out at all. And then, of course, with the whole Astros scandal, in both cases considered light as far as punishment goes. Then you've got the whole Domingo Germán thing, which opens up the conversation. Not that Germán should have been let off easy, but it opens up the conversation as to why players are getting full suspensions last year, but managers getting prorated ones, just the inconsistency in general. By the way, this is to represent myself in Dong City. New hat coming in, not defending the Dodgers right now. It is a Vince Scully hat. So anyway.
Just to represent my people who actually voted for statehood, so we'll see where that's going to go.
It should be interesting to follow. So Justin Turner, if we had a Boone-headed in the offseason, he'd win it easily.
Justin Turner will win it.
And then we get into the next news. One of the reasons that I didn't go with a Yankee hat this week. Yankees, I'm sure this will happen to other teams. I only saw the news on the Yankees. They are changing affiliates. Single A Staten Island, Double A Trenton are no more. So, Henry, I know you had mentioned in the comments that you have gone to a Staten Island Yankees game. I remember when they came out, I was excited that they existed. I never ended up going to the stadium, but I grew up with Trenton Thunder. I probably have gone to 70 of their games. There was one summer when I went literally every night with an old lady to Trenton Thunder games. That's like a big part of my childhood. They used to be the Red Sox affiliate, so I'd root for Red Sox prospects before they made the majors. Then they switch over to the Yankees. They start winning. Yeah, I think they have 2 titles. They went to the championship 5 times. This is a very successful minor league affiliate. Beautiful stadium on the water in Trenton. It sounds like an oxymoron because it's Trenton, but it was in a very beautiful location. And now they're no more. This is part of the Astros initiated this to have the minor league affiliates start to get slaughtered. Manfred co-signed it, and here we are. Yankees.
Well,
became two affiliates.
they didn't just abandon it. They did become affiliates with another team.
Yeah, so good point. The Trenton Thunder are now becoming the Somerset Patriots. And when I say
Correct.
becoming, I mean all of the Thunder employees will be laid off and disbanded. But Double A is moving to Somerset, New Jersey, which is just about a half hour north of Trenton. So
Yeah,
those
the
fans
official
theoretically can still go to games. It's just the Trenton heritage is gone.
the official word from the Yankees was it was better facilities and a better environment. I don't want to slam them because I'm not a pro on that, but according to what the Trenton Thunder was saying, that they were giving them promises, leading up to the negotiations, and then just ghosted them. If they did that, that's pretty wrong. That's foul, and they should be compensated for such because, like you said, there's a lot of people who are going to lose jobs right now because of that. That town's going to lose a ton of money.
Yeah, Trenton, a big manufacturing town. Not a lot of people know that. They already have been, Trenton's not a great place to begin with. They've already been slammed because of COVID. It's just a really bad spot for that city. If, like you said, the Yankees made promises and reneged on that, that's a bad spot for the Yankees. Just not a good, this isn't a situation where you feel good about anything unless you live in Somerset.
The Yankees didn't start the season looking good with the layoffs of the employees. This is not a good look. And I only heard about the Double-A team being re-affiliated. I haven't heard anything about the Single-A teams.
Yeah, I'm wondering because I think in the again, I only know the Yankees case. I know this is across the league. If you are a fan of another team, you can chime in if you know your team's situation. The Yankees, I think, are going from 9 affiliates to 6. So Staten Island, I think, is just being eliminated, whereas Trenton's being relocated because there's only one Double-A affiliate. So Single A, you've got Charleston, I think is low A, and then Tampa's high A, and Staten Island was another high A, but I think there's a third one too.
Overall, they're trying to reduce minor league teams by 25%. So
right, so
they're going from 160 teams to 120 teams overall. So everyone is feeling it.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think our West Coast fans a little late. We don't have Dodgers fans to say anything about the Justin Turner thing. We don't have anyone to say anything about the affiliate situation. But I am curious, though, from other teams, whether it's Mets, Cubs, anyone else, what's going on with theirs? We know they're being downsized. Is anyone else affected? I guess that's the question. But Trenton Thunder no more. Double-A lost a good one.
Here's a fun fact. I actually spent some of my high school career on Staten Island.
Did you?
I did. I got to see the Wu-Tang Clan perform in the projects before they got big.
That is cool.
That was very special. I shopped at the official Wu wear store. So, Staten Island has a big part of me, and I will say it is a shithole place to be.
Yeah, I was born there, Princess Bay.
You know that Bugs Bunny GIF with Florida?
Yeah.
If there was a borough that you needed to cut off of New York, it would be Staten Island.
Let's put that in perspective for a second. I completely agree with you. There are a million places I would use that GIF for over Florida, which most people go to.
I didn't say I would use it over Florida.
But Staten Island, so I was born there. When I made my trip back to New York City just to be a tourist, which I never get to do because I have a lot of family and friends still there, that was the only borough we didn't cover. We went to Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx, and Manhattan. We did not go to Staten Island because it's really the ferry, which takes you out of Staten Island, is like the only landmark there, unless you want to see the biggest landfill in the country. So there you go.
I'm going to show you how bad Staten Island is. I had an accident on the Staten Island ferry. I got 20-something stitches, went through the window of the ferry. And when I was young, they took me to a hospital that was nicknamed Barely Breathing. It was called Bailey Seton, but it was nicknamed Barely Breathing. And that's what I remember as I'm going to the hospital. This is where they're taking me to a place called Barely Breathing. So
that's awesome.
I want nothing to do with Staten Island.
Yeah, Staten Island University Hospital. That's where I was born. 6 affiliates for the Mets. So that sounds about right. I think 6 to 7, depending on the franchise, probably the sweet spot.
Thanks for that, Joey. We're going to tease some stuff Joey got going on later on, too.
Yeah, this is not the end of Joey. We've got more on him later. Alex Cora back with the Red Sox. It's like a slimy comparison this week. The Red Sox go and hire a cheater back to their franchise. At least AJ Hinch went to a different one. The Tigers absorbed that bomb. But Cora right back with the Red Sox after.
The worst part of this is that we saw the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
They interviewed 7, 8 candidates, and everyone knew it was going to be Cora. And I'm like, come on, stop wasting people's time. Stop trying to, reach quotas, and it's bullshit. It's a slap on the wrist, 1 year and go back. Everything's okay. It's bullshit. It's Manfred. It's baseball on the Manfred.
Right. And just the wild west out there. Speaking of Lindor to the Mets, Jake, I was going to say with the Trenton Thunder, Yankees, you can make it up to me if you want to take on DJ and Lindor's salary this season. That would be I would feel forgiven that way. Other news, Universal DH. So I had actually made this post probably a couple months ago at this point, maybe a month ago, that the early rumor was that the Universal DH was not going to be adopted for 2021, but it was almost guaranteed to be adopted after the CBA negotiations after 2021, before 2022. That has now changed.
AKA leverage.
Right. It was going to be leverage, was going to be tied into the expanded playoff. The owners have superseded that by essentially Manfred saying that we're going to have Universal DH regardless of expanded playoff. And that's where we're at now. So it's very likely now, 2021, you will have the Universal DH. And this has a lot of moving parts, and it will be covered with some of these free agents, but even non-free agents. A guy like Giancarlo Stanton, I would have told you a few weeks ago, absolutely impossible to trade that contract. But now you want to think about it. He has a big year in 2021, and the Yankees maybe feel like, hey, we want to pay Aaron Judge instead of Giancarlo Stanton. He's slightly younger, and he's the face of the franchise. Now, all of a sudden, Stanton's got another half a league of potential suitors. He's got a no trade, but if you've got a DH there can be mutual interest. He's an example. There's a lot of other players like that in the league who are going to lose their ability to play defense soon and might be an impact hitter. And those are guys now who had just had a market open up for them. JD Martinez, another example.
Yep. Marcelo Osuna is I think, the person
he'll
that
be on the list.
Probably – I think Marcelo Osuna gets benefited the most by this decision of any player right now.
It's immediate for him, and he's coming off a career year. You can't ask for a better combination than that.
He's the one that benefits the most from this. His market just opened up to every team in baseball.
Yeah, and whether the fans recognize it or not, I know a lot of NL fans have been supportive of Universal DH, as they should be. This really is going to benefit the NL. Yeah. It's going to benefit you if you're a fan of an NL team. You have more options on your roster to keep players who maybe could help you a few more years with the bat, maybe not so much with the glove.
You know what will be funny is you'll see, first of all, I had an entire rant dedicated to not having a DH in 2021 because word was there wasn't, like you said, there was going to be no DH in 2021. And then yesterday the news broke that there will be. So kudos to Manfred. He finally got that right. So I had a whole rant, and now it just goes out the window. So
yeah, there you go. Joey Stanton of the Dodgers. That's been rumored a few years now.
I'm okay with that.
You never know. And Leon brings up Josh Donaldson, another great example.
Yep.
I agree with Leon too. I thought he was signed an extra year too long, but that now becomes moot. So
what I'm gonna get a kick out of are those fair weather fans of baseball who will look at ERA and say this player had an increase, because what's going to happen is those pitchers in the NL, those ERAs are going to do this because now they're facing offensive guys. As this, gets adopted, the next, from next season to the next 4 or 5 years, you're going to see the ERA in the NL, go up drastically. And people look at those and say, oh, those guys suck, this, and that. No, now you know what it is to basically face a feared hitter on that 9-hole. It's not a bum now. It's not a defensive replacement you're facing. It's not the pitcher.
Yeah, there's a few schools of thought there. Again, to your point, that opens up market for NL pitchers. I don't think it necessarily plays a big role. I don't think a lot of AL teams go by the logic, he's an NL pitcher, I don't know if he can adapt. But I'm sure that does exist to some degree. So in theory, this now gives kind of a better idea around baseball as far as NL pitchers go. The other thing I would counter with, though, is NL still has a lot of pitchers' parks.
Yeah.
Because
historically,
those lineups.
Historically, the pitchers that go from the AL to the NL significantly do better. I mean, there's you can't hide that. The lineup is weaker.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they have this rule, and finally we can get the old man yelling at the crowd. Just finally get the DH. And what else do they cry about? Pete Rose. They're gonna always cry about Pete Rose. They cry about the DH. They're gonna always cry about analytics.
Yeah, bunting.
Bunting, yeah, that's a big
This
one.
is actually killing too. You're gonna have less bunts because no pitchers are hitting, and you're not having pitchers hitting. This might kill a few people.
Sacrifices will go down a ton.
Yeah, brutal. And then of course the other thing is the expanded playoff. I am 99% certain that will be in effect going forward, starting in 2021 again. I don't think there's even going to be. I don't think the players are really going to push too hard back on that as long as they get a proper piece of the pie. So we'll monitor that throughout the off season. But I think honestly, whether you want to admit it or not, the expanded playoffs was a raging success this year. I enjoyed it. That best of three was much needed, in my opinion.
I enjoyed it, but I don't want it to stay.
What's that?
I don't want it to stay.
I think it will.
Team.
Yeah, there's probably wiggle room there. I'm just saying that extra round, I think in some capacity is going to stay, no matter how if you can squeeze another 3 games out of the playoffs, even if you make the ALDS, maybe the DS series, maybe 7.
You make that 7. I always said make the wild card game 3 games. Yeah. Make that a series 3. Make it a 3-game series.
My ideal format, we've been over this a little bit, would be a best of 3 wild card round, a best of 7 DS, best of 7 CS World Series 7 games. That I think to me is perfect, and it gives
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it gives you potentially an extra 5 games, which is plenty, or 4 games.
I'm okay with that. I don't like half the league making the playoffs.
No, I agree with that. It's that's not how baseball's built. You don't play 100 and whatever it's going to end up being. Right now it's 162, whether they lower it or not. You don't play that many games only to have half the league make the playoffs. There's no point in that. It works much better in an NHL or an NBA where you're only playing half those games. So welcome, Ricky. We'll have some White Sox stuff for you as well.
Okay.
And to Joey's sarcastic point, they will have to rework when the season starts and the season ends.
I mean, I don't think he's being so sarcastic. His birthday is on Christmas, so he may be onto something.
Expanding maybe a week. I am curious if the World Baseball Classic's impacted by this.
Don't fuck with me.
I'm serious. I mean, they've already canceled it, this past year, which means we're not going to see it for a while.
Look, don't. Leave my World Baseball Classic alone. It's a huge success. Leave it alone.
Might have to shorten the season.
It's bad enough I have to see Korea play for me. So
again, perfect world, 150 regular season games, expanded playoff, World Baseball Classic every other year. It's my dream.
I said it, World Baseball Classic every other year. We definitely talked about that would be a huge success.
Yeah.
Make baseball fun again.
That's right. So those are all of the updates, news updates. Now we get into the fun stuff. Free agent predictions. This is our showcase show. We have taken the top 15 free agents per MLB.com, so no one can argue with me where they came from or what the rankings are. I didn't make them. They came from MLB.
Why are we saying that, Vince?
Because I will get pushback as far as particularly, in my mind, 2 of these names. But again, I didn't pick them. I'm just selecting them. So
all I'm going to say is when we got to 14 and 15 and I'm looking at the list, I said, get the fuck out of here. These guys aren't in the top 15.
Top 10, any order you want. I agree. Bottom 5 get a little dicey. If you guys want to add in names as we go along here that you are genuinely curious about, you're welcome to do it, because there will be at least a couple names on here that you just straight up won't get and probably should. So
yeah, especially since the MLB has 14 and 15 who they have.
Yeah, they're on crack. So here we go. Number 1 is Rob, our producer, just pointed out, by the way, no more award announcements till tomorrow. So we'll tell you who won already as far as the awards. It's also going on right now.
Let me just say that they got it right in the AL. I've been telling all those goddamn White Sox fans who the Rookie of the Year is going to be. If you hear me say this, you already know who it was, baby. They got it right.
Told you, Ricky, we'd mention the White Sox again. So there you go. All right, so let's get into it here. We're going to start number 1 free agent of this offseason per MLB.com, and I don't think anyone would really argue, is JT Realmuto, currently with the Phillies. Henry, where do you have him going opening day 2021?
Mets.
Okay.
5 years, 125.
Oh, you've got a contract too.
Yeah, I put contracts next to mine. I just want to
Nice.
see. I wanted to have some fun. I say 5 years, 125, 25 a year. I mean, for a 30-year-old catcher, that's a hell of a contract. Now, this was before the DH announcement. I say that because there may be some AL teams that want Real Muto to come on and be their catcher, but he is a really good hitter. So he can go in the AL and be a DH on some days, get some half days off. So that's going to be interesting for him too. I think that plays a little bit of part, but I'm going to go with my original prediction and say the Mets, 5 years, 125.
So I didn't add in contracts, not because it's like my favorite thing ever, but two reasons. One, you just named that now with the universal DH, I don't know what that market looks like yet, so I didn't take a stab at it. But the main reason is that this COVID off season, I think a lot of stuff's going to be skewed. It doesn't necessarily mean a guy like Ray Muto is going to get screwed, but someone's going to probably get screwed. The suitors and the money may not be there, so we may be way off. But to your point, Henry, in a parallel world, I would say that's a really good estimate. He's going to beat Grandal's 108 or whatever he got. People were saying 200 million. I don't see that coming for a catcher. No. So 125 to 150 probably is about right. And maybe he gets his fifth year now with the universal DH.
The reason I went with contracts is because it's just fun to put numbers to it and see where they go. Some of these numbers were affected by COVID, and teams, I think you'll see smaller deals, less years overall, less money per AAV. A lot of teams lost money this year. A lot of teams lost money, and I think that's going to play a part into the kind of contracts that they're doling out.
This may be a Leon Tompkins approved Nationals offseason, a lot of deferred money, a lot of extended years where they don't have to pay a lot in the next few years coming up.
Listen to me. All these players, they better go into the Hall of Fame. And they better have a Bobby Bonilla wing, and they better just laud this man because Bobby Bonilla really set the trend for deferred payments. And honestly, that's a perfect deal for both teams when you get deferred money. The time value of money later on, players getting guaranteed money into their retirement years. You have guaranteed money coming into you with interest. It's a no-brainer to me.
Yeah. And you can nicely circumvent the AAV. With luxury tax. So that's pretty sweet. I've got Real Muto also to the Mets. So we are unanimous on that. I don't think we're going to have many of those in this, maybe two more. But I've got him to the Mets for a few reasons. One, so we know that Steve Cohen just bought the Mets, which richest owner now or second richest, whatever he is, that's great. Mets are going to make a splash this winter. They have the money to spend, which puts them in a precarious position in terms of other teams because they may not. So this could be advantageous for them. Real Muto is right up their alley. They need a catcher. Yep. He is that big name that you're going to want, and it takes someone away from their division rivals in the Phillies. It's a perfect situation for the Mets to get Real Muto, and it comes with the potential that this guy could blow out his knees in 2 or 3 years, and then it really becomes a classic Mets signing. So all of the boxes are checked here.
You missed one box. You mixed one box.
What's that?
As much as we agree that the rivalry with the Yankees and the Mets is bullshit, you do bring the better catch on the opposite side of New York.
Yeah.
For a couple years, Real Muto, Gary Sanchez, it's not even close now. And so you kind of have that little thorn on the side that you can prick the Yankees with. But I agree. I think Steve Cohen will make several splashes, not just one.
Yeah, we may differ.
But he also, to his credit, he gutted the system already. He got rid of everyone. He got rid of Omar Minaya, which surprised me a little bit, but he got rid of everyone. Right. Van Wagen is gone. Everyone is gone.
He cleaned house immediately. Real Muto, I bet, is going to be their guy, and they may get him for if the 125 to me is a on the bargain side. I don't think it's outrageous, but it's on the low end. They may get him for that because I don't know what the market is in general, and I don't know what the market is for a catcher who's turning 30 in general. Could be a great situation for the Mets, who theoretically can be in a window very soon with the talent that they already have, depending on what they do here. So James' comments about Stanton, I completely agree with you, James. I'm not saying he will be traded. I'm just saying that he now would have a much bigger market than he did yesterday or before the DH thing came into play. He does have a no trade clause. He's probably only going to want to go to a contender like the Dodgers.
Another reason why Real Muto will get paid, the rest of the free agent crops for catchers: James McCann, Tyler Flowers, Jason Castro, a 38-year-old Yadier Molina.
Yeah,
There's nothing there.
You're talking 3 tiers down. So
There's-
Real Muto
The one guy in that group that I do like and I've always thought was underrated is Jason Castro. I know they have James McCann as a second rated here, but I've always been high on Jason Castro, so I think he'll go somewhere and make a change. But free agents catchers list is just trash. So
and outside of a Gary Sanchez or a Mike Zunino, who you can take a flyer on maybe in a trade. This is his market, Real Muto, and no one else's. So he's going to get paid. He's one of those free agents I truly believe gets paid.
Agreed.
On to number 2. This one's interesting because unlike Real Muto, this guy's going to have a market of like almost all of Major League Baseball, I think, and that's Trevor Bauer, personality aside. Trevor Bauer, by far to me, the top pitcher on the market. A lot of people argue that a different guy who's on this list can compare. I don't think so. I think Bauer to me is the only one I would consider an ace when he is pitching his best. Where do you have Bauer?
So I played with the idea of Bauer going back to the Reds. I think him and Sonny Gray have something really good going on. The analytics crew at Cincinnati, he did well there. But I think he goes to LA, and all that talk he had about signing one-year deals goes out the window. I got him at 4 years, 140, 35 a season.
To Dodgers?
No, the Angels.
Yeah, okay. Interesting. Rob points out that Bauer declined the qualifying offer. That was always going to happen. I have him to LA as well, just not the Angels. I actually have him to the Dodgers. This is my reasoning why. A lot of people right now are kind of hung up on Dodgers payroll. They think that they don't have money, which is not actually true. They are
a load of money.
Yeah, they're at 191 as far as payroll goes. The lower tier, and remember, they just reset the tax, so they don't have to worry about this necessarily. Yep. And they just won the World Series. They got plenty of money. The lower tier is 210 this year. So already, no matter what you've got $20 million to spend. They have a few free agents who are going to come off the books. They can move a few guys. But in my mind, the bigger story here is that Clayton Kershaw is a free agent after next year, and David Price the year after that. Those are 2 contracts that are upwards of $23 million a year. That's where Bauer fits in. In my mind, Bauer. Oh, and here's the other thing. You
got to give me some money, Vince.
For a contract?
Yeah, you got to give me money.
So Bauer's interesting because I agree with you. He's not going to be a 1-year guy. I think that's a leverage ploy. He's still in his 20s. I think he's 28, maybe turning 29. I would say he's probably good for a 6-year deal, maybe in 6 years. Probably seems right to me.
You got him 6? Okay.
Yeah. I think his personality and his own choices may limit the market a little bit, but we're probably talking at least 25 a year. So I've got him probably in that 6 to we'll say 170 type range.
So it's funny because I had the same thought, same train of thought with Bauer. He's a quirky dude. Let's be real. In LA, you can get away with a lot of that shit. Mm-hmm. You can't do that in Chicago. You can't do that in New York. You can't do that in Boston. There's a lot of places you just can't do that. Now, because he's a quirky dude and because he has his antics, I think a 4-year deal with an overpay of the AAV, which is why I went with 35 a year for 4 years, gets him money, keeps him on a team limited. That puts him back. What is he, 30 years old?
I think he's turning 29. I don't think he's quite 30.
Okay, so he may have another contract in him somewhere, or maybe they extended after a couple years. But I really think 4 or 5 years is the max for him because of the baggage that comes with him.
Yeah, Rob points out Giants allegedly have a 5-150 type market for him. That's actually a really good floor. Once you start getting teams negotiating in there, that will move up into that 170, 180 range that I just said. Could go with a lower AAV. I think personally, if you're going to go lower AAV, you're talking at least 35 a year, probably closer to 40.
That's exactly. My number is 35 exactly per year.
Yeah, I think it wouldn't shock me if you're going to a 4-year deal or less, you're talking 40 a year. But, we'll see. A lot of it, Bauer may not want a longer contract. There may be some sentiment there. But the other thing about Bauer, we finish up here, is that he's going to want to go to a contender. I think that much is clear. And the other thing is that he is huge, as we know, into analytics, and he's huge into technology. There aren't a ton of teams yet who are on the Dodgers level as far as technology goes with analytics, and not just analytics, but like the AI that the Dodgers use and all that. Their machinery is second to none, except maybe the Astros, and he's not going to the Astros. Yeah. So that's another reason he is a perfect fit for that organization. And
he went to the Astros to give me another reason to hate their guts.
He will not go. He said that he would entertain the Astros. I don't think he would. There's legitimate beef there.
I think so too, but money talks.
Yeah. Well, the Astros aren't going to have the Astros, by the way, to me, I don't have them. I'll just say straight up, I don't have them on this list for any of the top 15 free agents, because after next year, they're going to have to rebuild. They're not going to be a contender anymore. I'm 100% positive of that. They have a lot of money coming off after next year, though.
I do have them on the list for someone.
No, we'll see. But anyway, I've got Bauer to the Dodgers. You have them to the Angels. I don't think the Angels are advanced enough, and they always seem to miss out on the top starting pitcher, so that's the main reason I disqualified them. Let's go to number 3, George Springer. Ricky, I hope you're still watching. I have George Springer going to the White Sox. I think that is their guy. He completes their lineup. He completes their outfield. And he's right at that age that's kind of perfect for a team who's ready to step into a World Series window. He's got probably like 3 good years left, and that's all the White Sox are going to want or need, and they have a lot of money that they could be spending on him. So Springer to the White Sox makes sense to me. By the way, for Bauer, I had the Angels as the second choice, and for Springer, I had the Mets. I have the Mets as a runner-up, so I do think the Mets will go after him. I think the White Sox are going to go all in on Springer, though, and that's their guy.
It's funny. I did have the White Sox on Springer, and oddly enough, I had them on a 3-year deal. Now, this is where I think Steve Cohen brings his money to the table. I think Steve Cohen overpays for Springer. He gives him 5. He gives him 125. I think he gives him and JT the exact same contract, 5 for 125. It gives him the catcher. It gives him the center field that they've desperately needed for years.
Springer, to me, can definitely fit the definition of a COVID casualty. he's I think, turning 32, and corner outfielder. His outfield defensive metrics, I think, are going down a little bit. He could be a guy who's kind of a bargain, but he should have a pretty good market. And I think, Henry, we're in agreement. White Sox and Mets are at the top of that market. So
he just turned 31 for the record.
Okay, just turned 31, still on the wrong side of 30.
Yeah, I'm sticking to my guns. I'm saying he's getting that 5th year from the Mets.
That 5th year would seem to be the litmus point. Generally, for a hitter who is not a top tier guy, 36 seems to be that age. That's like you're going to play with that a little bit.
Yep.
So yeah, 5 years wouldn't shock me if that's what it took. I think same exact reasoning as you. I just think it's the White Sox instead of the Mets. So again, we're in the same ballpark there. Here's the one that's going to be interesting for us. DJ LeMahieu. I'll caveat
the only man in baseball history to win a batting title in both leagues.
I will caveat this by saying MLB Trade Rumors has DJ LeMahieu going to the Blue Jays, which I read that and just about fell off my seat.
Do they? I can't see that happen.
To me, DJ LeMahieu is the hill the Yankees are willing to die on this winter. It would not shock me if the Yankees obviously were not involved that much in free agency. I think their main moves are going to either be through trade or re-signing their own guys. And I think DJ LeMahieu is the top of that own guys category. They need that bat. They need a leadoff hitter. They need a middle infielder with a great glove. And they need a guy who can make contact. DJ fits all 3 of those perfectly. They are basically punting on the season if they let him walk, and maybe shutting down their own World Series window. That's how dire it is. I just can't see it.
You said they need a leadoff hitter. That's where I'll kind of roll my eyes, because DJ LeMahieu is no leadoff hitter.
No, he can bat.
We use him at
4.
Yeah, we use him in the spot,
right,
but he's not. He's a number 3. I have him going
he should be. I agree. He should definitely be in that 3 or 4 spot. But for the Yankees, he's their leadoff hitter, and
I have him staying with the Yankees. If there is a free agent that you told me I could bet all my chips on, it would be DJ LeMahieu staying with the Yankees. That would be the one thing that I think is about as certain as anything this offseason.
I completely agree. I think
And I think
DJ staying
going
with the Yankees is right up there with the need the Yankees may feel to extend Judge. Like, he's
now,
that important to the franchise.
Here's the thing. The Yankees absolutely got a bargain on DJ for the first 2 years.
They're going to have to pay.
With that said, they will have to pay for that bargain. And I think DJ has played himself into a 3, maybe even a 4-year deal. And 4-year deal, excuse me. And I think that looks like $80 million.
Yeah, I think a 480 is what I've got. Him, I actually did think of the salary because I've been playing with the Yankees payroll all winter.
Him, I have at 4 years, $80 million.
Yeah, 480.
Now, with that said, like I said, I think that's about a slam dunk as it get. Joey pointed out that he has him going to the Red Sox 5-135. If you told me the Red Sox were ready to compete right now, that may not be a bad idea, but the Red Sox are a couple years away.
I'm amazed a little bit as far as all the variation here for LeMahieu because, looking at the other ones, seems like Bauer, Angels, Dodgers, seems like Realmuto in the NL East to some degree. Springer, it looks like we had a lot of Mets there. Bauer, Dark Horse, Minnesota was thrown out there. DJ, we've got Red Sox, we've got Milwaukee. I think the runner-ups, the Blue Jays, although the Mets and Red Sox certainly have a case for, the Red Sox and the Red Sox have a case for him along with the Blue Jays. I agree with you, though. A lot of people think that because the Red Sox set the tax back this year, that they're going to just spend like drunken sailors next year. I don't think that's true. I think 2 winters from now, that could definitely be a possibility, depending on how next year goes. But that team is 6 pitchers away right now from being a playoff contender. Like that, they are very far off. Yeah. And they can't rebuild all of that in one winter. And I definitely don't think they're going to blow their load on DJ when they need an entirely new pitching staff almost.
Not only that, when it comes to DJ, I think he's probably been that underrated player this entire generation.
Right.
I could not believe when Colorado let him walk. They gave him no respect. They gave all the money to Arenado, which has been proven wrong already. Thank you, guys. I've been saying that for years. And they just let him walk. The Yankees got him at a bargain. He's going to finish his career with probably right around 2,000 hits, maybe more.
Yeah.
I'm a big DJ fan. I like the signing. I scratched my head because at the time there was no real place for him. And, you give that's another feather and a hat for Cashman, man. He got that deal, and that was a steal of a deal, man.
Yeah, and if you want to bring ballparks into it, his bat's actually not great for Fenway. I know he's a righty, and they've got the green monster, but DJ hits the opposite way. He's a perfect fit for a place like Yankee Stadium too. And I think
I did think Philly for DJ would be nice. But I haven't, like I said, I think that's about a slam dunk.
I can't see it. I don't get the feeling, I don't know this for sure, I don't get the feeling DJ's the type of guy who's going to just take top dollar either. I think that where he is, where he's comfortable, will factor in. But to your point, he's not coming back for $12 million a year again. He's going to want his payday.
Yeah, it's like he'll posture to get that 4th, maybe 5th year.
Yeah.
He's coming back to the Yankees. It's just a matter of whether his agent is going to be like, give me that 4th year.
Again, he'll be 36 in a 4-year deal. That's to me the going rate. So 480, maybe if you need to go up to 490, I could see that too.
I'd rather give him more money than more years.
Yeah, I agree. You don't want Cole Stanton and DJ making like $90 million when they're in their mid to late 30s. That's bad. Anyway, number 5 on our list, Marcell Ozuna. Interesting case here. Let's start with you on this one.
So I have 2 teams written down for Ozuna. I actually had an NL team in brackets and an AL team in brackets. I don't think I can still decide. I think he goes to either the Nationals or the Blue Jays. And I think his deal is $480 as well.
So we're, again, somewhat in the same ballpark here. Ozuna, like we covered earlier, huge beneficiary of universal DH. And if it's
the biggest beneficiary, in my opinion.
Yeah, and if it's not happening this year, it's definitely happening the year after. So no team is going to consider his defense as a reason they can't sign him. Now, I talked about Real Muto going to the Mets. In part, it's going to get back. It's going to make the Phillies weaker.
Mhm.
Well, I think the Phillies, to replace Real Muto, are going to be going all in on Ozuna.
That would
So
be nice.
Phillies would have Harper in one corner, Ozuna in the other until he becomes a DH. And I've got, he replaces Real Muto's bat in the middle of that order, which is something they're going to need to do. Phillies are right on the cusp. They're not like a rebuilding team or anything, so they're going to need to do something. And I think that the Mets and the Braves are the runners up here. I think it's an NL East battle, just like Real Muto is.
Don't sleep on the Blue Jays on this one.
Yeah, Blue Jays are always kind of in the weeds, right? They've got money to spend. I'm not in on them yet as the favorites for any of this. And hello to Chris. Thank you for joining. I promise you, Chris, before the end of the show, I will mention the Giants for a reason. So we'll get to that.
I'm still waiting. What was the promise? It's out for Dong City.
That's right. Yeah. To return our favor. So we go to number 6, and that is this guy's a polarizing Dong City mention here, and that is Marcus Stroman. I think out of anyone who's not a Yankee, we may have mentioned him the most on this show. I think he is. So I said earlier when I was talking about Trevor Bauer, how the Angels never seem to get the number 1 option, because they always seem to get that number 2 or 3 option. Marcus Stroman to me is a very classic Angels signing. He's like 5'2". He's not an ace, but he's not bad either. He'll put up consistent numbers. He's definitely the guy the Angels are like, we need to go all in and sign this guy because he's going to fix our rotation, and he's like a number 3 starter. That to me, I think Angels make sense. They lose out on Bauer. They recuperate. They get Stroman. We know they're going to be in on starting pitching this winter. I've got written here, Angels 9, second best starter on the market is all right. So yeah, and the Braves I've got as the runner-up. Those rumors have been going on for a while with the Braves. They're going to be in on Stroman, but this again is classic Braves. Braves fans are going to tell you we're going to sign Stroman, we're going to sign Real Muto. When neither one of them gets signed because the Braves front office cheap as shit, you'll see Braves fans bad mouthing both of those guys and saying, "Oh, we got guys on the inside who are better." That happens every winter.
Which, like I said before, proves that trade was not a good one.
You lost assets.
Now, for me, I have Stroman. Here's another place where I couldn't decide. He has not declined the qualifying offer yet. So he's one of those guys that I can see accepting the qualifying offer and staying with the Mets and reestablishing his market. With that said, if he does not do that, I have him going to a team that is desperate for pitching, made a ton of noise this year, and that is Atlanta. 4 years, $70 million.
Yeah, Atlanta, like I said, that's my second choice. He would be a very smart signing for them.
Atlanta needs pitching. Atlanta is desperate for pitching.
And they need a veteran. They need a reliable veteran. And Stroman, outside of last year opting out because of COVID,
Stroman
is a reliable veteran.
Reliable veteran, a number 4 masking as a number 2.
Right. And he's a guy who has playoff experience. Braves are in a window where they will consistently lose before the World Series. So he's a perfect fit for them.
So Melvin brings up he would go Stroman 3 for 65. The reason I didn't say 3 for 65 is because you have to pay for age. Stroman is still 29 years old.
Yeah, he's getting a 5-year deal if he's getting something.
You got to give him at least, I think 4 is the floor.
Yeah.
So I think he at least gets 4 years. So I have him at 4 years, $70 million. That's 17 and a half a season. So he may get even more than that, but he hasn't done enough to say, hey, I need to be in that $20 million per season range.
He's kind of like a Rick Porcello was when he was a free agent, not this time, but the time with the Tigers. That I think Porcello got 5 with 20 a year.
Yeah.
I don't think Stroman in this winter is going to get that. But I do think that's the range you're kind of talking, is that 80 to 120 range, somewhere in there, depending on the years. I think 5 years is probably a safe bet. Now the qualifying offer, which he's considering, is about 19 a year, just under 20. So you have to figure he's probably not getting much more than that per year because he's considering this. So to me, if you want to talk about like 18 a year for 5 years, what's that bring you to? 90? That's in that 80 to 120 range, so somewhere along those lines. But Stroman, I don't think he'll accept the qualifying offer. If he does, that's a huge coup for the Mets.
Oh, of course. I mean, the Mets win if he does that. But again, I don't take it out of the realm of possibility that he takes the qualifying offer. What is it, 18.6? 18
I think
something?
so, yeah. Or is
Yeah.
it
So
more
I
than
mean,
8,
1 year
18.2?
18, 1 year 18.6, so
19.8. There you go.
19.8. I
Yeah.
mean, 1 year 19.8. Reestablish your market and try to get a 20-year AAV deal in the next year.
And you're pitching at City, which DH or not, that's a nice ballpark to rebuild your
Yeah.
value. I'm not ruling out, by the way, he accepts the qualifying offer, which, by the way, for Mets fans, I will go on to Hedge Hill over here. He accepts the qualifying offer. You get him an extra year. That trade makes a little more sense. A little more sense. I still wouldn't have done it because you didn't expect he was going to accept the qualifying offer, but it makes a little more sense.
It makes a little more sense, but it's very expensive.
It is. And Rob points out that he is leaning, this is what I read too, he is leaning on not accepting the qualifying offer. So ultimately, I don't think he does. I like that a lot of you are bringing up the Padres. I promise you, I have a solution to their pitching. It's just not Stroman, it's not Bauer. So we go to number 7, Marcus Semien. Interesting case here. You mentioned earlier with a guy like Bauer that the Reds, you'd consider the Reds re-signing him. And I didn't agree with that, neither did you, because you changed your mind on it. I do think the Reds need to do something to kind of keep the momentum they have, and especially with Gray and Castillo still locked up. So here's what I'm proposing. I think that they're going to go and they're going to sign Marcus Semien as an upgrade over Freddie Galvis, and they're going to double down on that offense, which scored 0 runs in the playoffs this year. So I think that Semien, typical guy, Reds don't seem to care that much about contact and advanced analytics with their lineup. I think Semien's a great fit for that lineup, and he's an improvement at shortstop, which is a key position where he replaces a guy in his late 30s. So I've got Semien to the Reds. What do you have?
I have Semien going to LA Angels.
There you go. Yeah, you and Joey.
I have him going to the Angels. I have him going at 3 years, 45. That's 15 years, 15 million a season. You know, the thing with Semien is this guy is weird, man. This guy went off. He had a hell of a year in 18. Then he just went absolutely insane in 19. And then he had a meh year last year, which a lot of players had meh years, unless you're Altuve and you just suck. But yeah, these guys had, so what is he really? He's really good on defense, so you get that. Whoever the Angels put at shortstop, they're gonna lose defensively because they're losing Simmons.
Right.
The guy's the best defender at shortstop I've seen in I don't know how long. But Simmons a hell of a defender. So I think he goes there on a short deal, 3 years, $45 million, $15 million a year.
I'm reading through my list to see if I have any offensive players going to the Angels, because Joey's absolutely right. They're probably going to sign one of them because it's not a pitcher, but I don't. So I've just got – I think they get it right with Stroman this winter. But, yeah, I mean, Semien going there wouldn't surprise me. I don't think that's a bad guess. I think your years are again, probably on the low end, but I could see it totally happening. It also wouldn't surprise me if he got like a 4.48 type deal. He's 30 years old. He'll be 34 at the end of that contract. Shortstops maybe get a little bit of a dink. And to your point, he doesn't have a great track record. He's really got one career year.
When factoring in my numbers, I took into the account that, honestly, the teams have the leverage in free agent signings this year.
They do, yeah. That's why
they have the leverage.
Our concept's the same. I think that they'll go lower AAV given that 4th year, but we'll see. Maybe it's like a club option type deal too. I don't think Semien will get more than 60 million. I know Melvin just put 475. That's what I'm responding to. So we'll see. I'd take the under on 60 million, but we'll see how it goes.
I can't see him getting 75.
Didi Gregorius, number 8. Nice compliment right after Semien. Some say that the Yankees will be in on him, kind of taking back their mistake that I won't admit to. What do you have with Didi?
Can you repeat that last line?
I will not admit. I still do not think Didi Gregorius makes a difference on this team from
yes, he does.
last year.
Yes, he does.
I don't think so. I will say, though, he is fully recovered from his injury. I mean, he looked like a different player last year.
Didi makes a difference.
That kind of hitter in the playoffs, not different than Luke Voit. I was 100% right on Luke Voit in the playoffs. It's just not a guy I want. Yeah, I
Well,
know
we
he's
both
got hits,
look.
not a guy I want.
We talk every fucking day. Let's be real.
Yeah.
I talk to you more than I talk to my family.
Likewise.
We talk every day, and Luke Voigt, we knew that type of hitter would be exposed in the playoffs by better pitching, and that's exactly what happened.
Right.
With that said, for Didi, I think Didi stays with Joe Girardi. I think he stays in Philly. 3 years, $60 million. This is the only money he's going to get. So I think he holds off for $20 million a year for 3 years, and I think the Phillies give it to him.
Sound the horn. We've got a third agreement here because we had DJ as well. I also have Didi staying with the Phillies. Again,
that ballpark is tailor-made for him, man.
Philly's still in a window. They need to be proactive about this. They have all that money, by the way, from Trout that they never got to give him. So it's not. They shouldn't be swimming in debt here. Didi had a great year with them. Yeah, I'm assuming he likes it. He obviously likes the Northeast. He stayed up there. He likes playing for Girardi. It's a good fit for him. So
it's a good town for him. It's a good ballpark for him. It's a great manager for him. He's a veteran. And Didi's that guy. He's never been paid, man. Let's be real. This is going to be his only contract. So give that man his money. Give him his $60 million.
45 to 60. I saw Joey toss 45 out there. Melvin tossed 60. I like that range. 45, 60. I think that's fair.
Give that man his money. I love Didi. He will always be a fan favorite of mine. Always, always, always.
Yeah, I like Didi's a really good clubhouse guy. I like him as a person. I think his time with the Yankees was cut off at the right time, and I still stick by that. But he should be a nice player for the Phillies. That's a good guy for them to get, and they'll pair him with Marcell Ozuna. That's a nice job to replace Realmuto. So Didi, Phillies were unanimous there. Here's one that's going to piss me off, and I have so many reasons for this happening. Michael Brantley, who, like DJ LeMahieu 2 years ago, I said the Yankees absolutely had to sign him for his bat. He's the perfect fit. I stick by that. Lefty, makes contact, hits 300, doesn't bow down to good pitching. He would have been a huge difference maker the last two postseasons for the Yankees. They didn't sign him. Where do you have Michael Brantley going at 34 years old?
I have him going to the Cubs. I have him going to be everything that Jason Hayward was supposed to be at half the money. I think he goes to the Cubs. I have him at the Cubs at, 3 years, $42 million.
Cubs are good. I don't hate that. Here's the deal with Brantley. This is something I heard. Take it for what it's worth. I don't even remember the source. I just remember I trusted them. I was told before the 2018 offseason, last time he was a free agent because he had a 2-year deal with the Astros, that Michael Brantley absolutely is unwilling to play at a big market. And
I've heard that before.
It turned out to be true, at least in results, because he went to the Astros, which is not considered a big market in terms of media market, even though it's a huge market in terms of size. Played with the Indians his entire career, so he's never played in a big market. Because of that, a team like the Cubs to me would be ruled out, as would a team like the Yankees. I have him going to the Braves, which to me is the ultimate non-big market team because it's a playoff contender. They love short deals for old people, and Michael Brantley is a bat that they could use, especially with the universal DH.
He'd replace Osuna.
Yeah, and he replaces Osuna. So that to me, this is what the Braves do. They're savvy in this way. I call them cheap. There's also a little bit of savviness to them. They will replace a guy who they just lost, who gets big money elsewhere. They'll replace him with a stopgap who's going to put up numbers on a short deal. Brantley fits that profile. I don't see – Brantley's 34 years old. Even with universal DH, he's not getting more than a 3-year deal. He may be getting another 2-year deal.
I like him in the Cubs. There's something there that just makes a hell of a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I don't hate the Cubs. The main reason I don't have them going there is because that's a bigger market than I think Brantley wants to be with. But the other reason is that this is what the Braves do. This is like what they do.
Rob sent us a message. He has Brantley going to the Astros, back to the Astros.
Yeah, you can't rule it out. He had a great time there. I'd imagine 2 really solid years. I'm more of the belief with the Astros, they're letting that money fall, and they're going to have to come back and retool in 2022 because of all the talent they're losing. We'll see. I don't think Brantley at 34 is going to be a wise investment for that franchise, because I don't see after this year them having much of a chance in 2022. I just don't. They're losing Greinke. They're losing Verlander. They had the young pitching step up to a degree in the playoffs, but that lineup is going to be losing Springer. It's going to be losing Correa after next year if they don't pay him. So I just don't see it. I think they need to worry about where they're spending their money elsewhere, and it might be on guys like Correa, to keep that core intact. So
Yeah, and I know Rob also pointed out that Rosenthal said they're working on a deal. I just think without Hinch, there's a lot there. Those players love Hinch, man, and I think he was a big part of what was going on there. Not on the cheating side, but on the baseball side. Hinch is a good manager, so I think he played a big role in a lot of those players, gelling together. So. I mean, I know the reports say they're working on a deal, but I don't see him going back there. I have him in the Cubs.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I only can see it because, again, I think Brantley is a very low maintenance, kind of low profile type guy. So maybe that's his easiest path. I don't know, but I'm going to say Braves. It's a classic Braves deal.
But he's a little bitch staying away from big markets.
Also true. Number 10, Justin Turner.
The fact that Justin Turner is number 10 says everything you need to know about this list.
Yeah. So Justin Turner just made $20 million with the Dodgers. Justin Turner is a Southern California guy, born and raised, as far as I know. Just won a ring with the Dodgers. Dodgers don't have as big of a need for him. Yeah. With Lux now up there, and Seager and Chris Taylor and Max Muncy, anyone else who can play the infield to a degree. I think, though, whether you want to also credit the COVID stuff now, I think he is going to go back to the Dodgers on a discounted deal. I think it's going to be one of those finish your career type deals. He goes back for a year or two and just finishes up there. DH is now open, so that makes things a little easier. That's what I see, maybe like $12 million a year, $10 to $12 million a year. I think he just finishes his career there. Add
this in the column that we agree again. I have him going back to the Dodgers. It just makes too much sense. 2 years, $30 million. That's a lower price, but still good money. I do say it comes with a caveat. You have to strap him to a table, and you have to let Dr. Fauci slap the shit out of him.
They'd probably be fine with that. I got 224. I'm going to take the low end there. And you know what? That would be a good deal for the Dodgers. He's a good fit there in terms of his bat. Number 11, Masahiro Tanaka. Another interesting case. Not a guarantee he comes back to the majors. We should point that out. There are rumors he could return to Japan, finish his career. I don't know.
I don't believe
they
that
are.
one bit.
31 years old. He's always had the ulnar tear kind of hanging over his head, although it has never actually torn more than the minor tear it is. So he's never needed Tommy John. But he's a free agent for the first time in the States since he's been signed. Where do you have him going?
Nowhere. He stays put. He stays with the Yankees, 3 years, $50 million.
This is my I'm going to compare lazily. I'm going to compare races type situation. Masahiro Tanaka, to me, is going to go on the Hiroki Kuroda track with the Yankees. I think he's just going to sign revolving 2-year deals. I don't think the money is really a big deal to him, both culturally and personally. And I think that if he stays in Major League Baseball, I don't think he wants to leave. And it is a perfect Brian Cashman second-tier lazy deal. Brian Cashman will pretend he's in on Bauer, won't make a serious effort. He'll pretend he's in on Stroman, won't make a serious effort. He'll bring Tanaka back at $15 million a year, maybe a 230 type deal with a third-year team option. Who knows? Something along those lines. And that's what it'll be. And Tanaka will add some veteran stability to a rotation that is losing Happ for what it's worth, and it's losing Paxton, and it would be losing Tanaka. So you'll have Cole, you'll still have Tanaka, you'll have Herman coming back, you'll have Severino at some point coming back, you've got Schmidt and Debbie there. This is a classic Cashman deal, and I think that it fits Tanaka's personality. So I'm in agreement with you again. I think Tanaka stays put.
Yeah.
So number 12, another Yankee pitcher. This is James Paxton. James Paxton.
Fuck him. Fuck him.
Is not coming back to the Yankees. I'm 100% sure of that.
All the talent in the world, you useless fuck.
This is a guy who is A.J. Burnett Part 2 in that.
That's exactly who he is.
Yes.
He's going to leave the Yankees, and he's going to do really well, so fuck him extra.
Yes, all around. This is AJ Burnett part 2. He comes up in a big game every so often and pitches his ass off. He's a complete mental head case. He is injury prone, and he's definitely leaving Yankees and doing better elsewhere. You got it from us, not on Dong City, but in baseball life, that Sonny Gray was going to leave the Yankees and do much better elsewhere. We're making the same promise here.
Oh, you got that from Dong City because we were both saying that shit. We pegged that one to a T. The fact I think Sonny Gray shot himself in the foot by taking the deal he took with Cincinnati. I would have just signed a 1-year deal. I believe he signed a 3-year deal.
Well, he got extended. Yeah.
Grossly underpaid right now.
So we're getting a lot of good Paxton movement here. Pretty boring with Tanaka. Not a lot of people have him going anywhere that's not the Yankees. We get a question from Jake Hibbert. We'll answer in a question. But Jake Moses has Paxton to the Mets. Interesting choice. They do need a veteran starter in my mind. Joey has Paxton to the Twins. Another interesting choice. They might have to replace Odorizzi.
I disagree with Jacob. The Mets do not need another injury-riddled starter. That's the last thing they need.
The injury-riddled part's a good part. They do need a guy like Paxton, but Paxton himself is not a good choice.
Mets, stay away from this guy. He is not a big market guy.
Dennis has Paxton to the Blue Jays. Again, Blue Jays have that market. I can see it. Here's
Does
where
he
I
want to
think
stay in the division?
He's got him in. Yeah, Blue Jays. Where do you have him going?
I have him taking a 1-year deal because of his age. I have him taking that deal with the White Sox, reestablishing his market. Watch him be really fucking healthy. Watch him have a hell of a year, and then watch him sign a 4 to 5 year deal after that. But I have him 1-year deal to the White Sox. And I have that 1-year deal at $15 million. Well, I see on my notes I had White Sox 1 year 15 reestablishes market, or the Braves at 3 years 50 if they're willing to overpay.
Which they're not because they're the Braves. So I like your White Sox choice.
I think White Sox 1 year, $15 million a season.
So
maybe 18 just to say it's the qualifying offer number.
I'll answer Jake Hibbert's question first with Monty into the rotation. Absolutely. I think Jordan Montgomery, just based on that Tampa playoff game, proved he's got the capacity to be a starter in this rotation. It was just a slip. I didn't mention him, but that's another starter the Yankees can look at. He's a number 4 guy, 5 maybe.
I give him more than that. I think he's 3. It'll be a full season post Tommy John, which is always better.
He should improve.
Velocity ticks up. Command gets better.
Yeah,
I've always been a fan of him.
I don't want to pick a game through the playoff series.
Monty's a field guy, and I like guys like that. I know we get enamored with the radar gun. And
he's an Andy Pettit type.
He's a field pitcher. He knows how. If he doesn't have one pitch, he'll go to the other one. He's just a boring pitcher, but a very effective pitcher. I like Monty. So yeah.
Is Hibbert not how you pronounce Jake's last name?
That's how I've always pronounced it.
Said I'm a rare breed and pronounce it. Did I not pronounce? Jake, tell me how to pronounce your last name.
I always thought it was Hibbert. I've always pronounced it as Hibbert.
Yeah, I need clarity. This was very cryptic. I need clarification on that. But I am with you on some of this. I think so Montgomery to me, number 4 starter on a championship team, but I do think he could be better than Tanaka next year. That's how far off I think Tanaka might be. That's why Tanaka, I think you're looking at like 12 million, maybe 15 tops. Paxton, I like the range you're in. 15 minimum, 20 maximum, 1-year deal sounds good. Maybe there's some incentives or something that triggers a second deal. Maybe there's a mutual option with a buyout. But all these people right here commenting, all right, Hibbert is apparently what people heard. All these people commenting, though, Melvin, you're right this time. This is what I've got. I have Paxton going to the Padres. It's a perfect fit to me. He's going to a pitcher's park. He's going to a contender. He's a veteran. They don't need him necessarily, but he would be a really good presence on that team. And most of all, he gets to reunite with his best buddy, Larry Rothschild, who I think is the biggest reason that he might not go back there. But anyway, Paxton to the Padres, I think, is my pick. That's a really good place to rebuild your value.
Jacob made mention of my shirt, so I got to give it full balls. I got to, me and Nipsey Hussle. Anybody who knows me knows I love Nipsey, baby. So,
all right, that's right. It's who would ever pronounce his name Hybert? You know what this is, Jake? I grew up watching The Simpsons with Dr. Hibbert, so to me there is no other options in here.
Yeah, I've always pronounced the Hibbert, so I'm glad we got it. Something else Dong said he does correctly. We get
It
everybody's
worried
name
me.
right.
I was like, you're not Hispanic, so I should be perfectly fine getting your name.
Yeah, you butcher those.
Yeah. Then we move on to number 13. That is Liam Hendriks. So Hendricks leaving the A's, pretty good reliever. He's not the type of dominant reliever who I think is going to set the world on fire in the market, but he is a guy who could be picked up probably in that 9 to 12 million range per year, maybe a 2-year deal is what I'm feeling. I've got him going to the Phillies. I think this is the trifecta. Yeah, adding some bullpen depth there.
So here's my notes. Liam Hendriks, gross overpaid by the Phillies, 3 years, $45 million. That's what I have.
Yeah. I think that's the 6th or 7th. We almost matched on half of this list. That's pretty impressive. We did not compare notes before.
Yeah, we did not. But yeah, I have the Phillies need to overpay for free agent relievers, and this is going to be the big one for them. 3 at 45.
Yeah, I could see an overpay for a third year with Hendricks. I don't actually know how old he is. I didn't do a lot of research into Hendricks, but that 2 to 3 year range sounds right. That 9 to 12 million a year range sounds right. So if you want to talk me anywhere from 18 to 36 a year, I'd believe anything in that ballpark. But
and here's the next two guys have no. Oh, Hendricks is he'll be 32 years old in.
He's not going to have 30 year then. 2 years and 11 a year. I'll say 222 for Hendricks. Melvin, Cubs were my runner-up for Hendricks. I don't want to. I know that it's been 2 years since they signed anyone of relevance whatsoever. They'll probably sign someone this winter, but I have them as the bridesmaid a lot here.
I'm sticking with my number 3 at 45. I think relievers continue to get overpaid. If there's a guy who needs to overuse his relief pitchers, it's Joe Girardi. So, yeah.
Yeah, perfect fit there. Next two guys, kind of a clown show. Feel free again to add in your own selections.
Yeah, like I said, this is where these two guys, I'm like, get the fuck out of here. They don't belong on this list. But we'll entertain it since they were on the list.
Number 14, Jackie Bradley Jr., who to me is probably not even in my top 20. But he's ranked there. Yeah, I mean, if you are looking for a 220 hitting defensive specialist, Jackie Bradley Jr. is your guy, and you can get him before he turns 32. That's the selling point on Jackie Bradley Jr. Rob immediately chimes in with the Blue Jays. That's an interesting pick. Rob, we're not so far out geographically. Oh, we're kind of far out. I have him going to the Nationals, and I have it for this reason. I think if you...
Where's he going to play?
I think that you can either move him into a corner to spend his 30s, or you move Robles, and you could have a lethal outfield defensively.
You are not moving. I am not moving Victor Robles for anybody in baseball.
Then I'm putting JBJ on the side Soto can't play. So that I think you put those two guys out there, it does two things. One is it makes Soto's defensive liabilities minimal because you got two of the best outfielders possible in the rest of his outfield. Two, this is a guy who fits that Nationals profile with speed and everything else. So I think that you get JBJ. He shouldn't cost very much. I think that market's always been overblown. You might get him for $9 million a year, even though he just made $9 million in ARB.
He's so much of a bum. He's not worth my feedback protector on my microphone. Right? He's a bum. With that said, I have him going to a bum-ass franchise and replacing George Springer in center fielder. He goes to the Astros. 2 years, $20 million.
That's not a – you know what's funny about this is my first thought when I was first trying to – because I see Jackie Bradley Jr.'s name, and my first reaction is, who gives a shit? I couldn't care less where Jackie Bradley – at one point, Red Sox fans were so delusional they thought they could get Jose Abreu for Jackie Bradley Jr. That was like a thing at one point. Jackie Bradley Jr. is a Juan Lagares who doesn't blow out his legs. That's it.
I think Lagares is better than Jackie Bradley.
If he's on the field. So to me, JBJ is at one good off season. But it's funny you mentioned the Astros because I had him originally going to the Rays, but he was so useless. I actually couldn't find a reason for the Rays to add him. But he's that type of guy where an analytics team might take a flyer on him for his defense. Maybe they could correct his swing a little bit. So Astros is not a bad guess. But I've still got him going to the Nationals. I think he just fits the profile there better.
He's not even worth Brett Gardner money. He's a bum.
No, he's at $9 million a year. I'm telling you. I think maybe even like 7, but I think that 7 to 9 range, a couple of years. That's all you're going to see from him. On to our last one. Speaking of bums,
First of all, Leon, the best Nationals fan out there, says, "Give him to me. Fuck out of here." Exactly. Leon doesn't want his bum ass.
Leon mentioned the Nationals getting competent free agents earlier in the show, and I just kind of laughed on the inside. I was like, wait until I have someone getting them. I have Nationals getting someone. It is Jackie Bradley Jr. Taijuan Walker. Just keep the sign up. Taijuan Walker.
Another bum.
Went where careers go to die, and his career still died. That was with the Mariners. Now he's a free agent. This was a hot commodity like 2 years ago, but he's completely fallen off
on the trade market and the free
route.
agent market. Yeah, he was hot in the free agent and the trade market.
Yeah. Now he's just cold. Chris, if you're still watching, this is where the Giants come in. I have him going to the San Francisco Giants. It just seems like the Giants always need pitching, right? Ever since their World Series run, they just have like nothing in the way of pitching. They've mostly young guys. But the Giants also never know when to rebuild and just cut bait and start all the way over. This is a perfect guy for me. They'll get him on a short deal, probably a COVID-induced short deal, low amount. He'll be a veteran presence there. He has to recoup some value in that giant ballpark, no pun intended. I see him going just into nothingness. Like, that's what I've got. I think he's going to stay out west where no one watches baseball, and he's going to go to the San Francisco Giants while they suck.
I have him going to the Toledo Mud Hens.
You don't think he gets a major league deal?
No, he's going to get a major league deal. So Taijuan Walker, man, he's a guy with a lot of stuff, a big ceiling. He's always had that he's that guy that if he puts it together, it's that thing. There's certain players that coaches look at him and say, if I can get my hands on him, I can extrapolate all those things. And I think he's one of those guys. I think he goes to Philly. I have him going to Philly 2 years, $18 million, $9 million a year is worth a flyer on a guy like him. So I'll say Philly.
It's not bad.
And he's not getting earth-shattering money. $9 million a season for 2 years. He's worth it.
Yeah, to me, the Phillies are even a little too high class for a guy like that.
A little disappointed. I was a little disappointed. I thought these guys would give us some names that they want to see us predict where they go. They don't. So
yeah, you're running out of time too. We got to cut that. I have a hard out at 8:25. So anyways,
you got a hard on at 8:25.
Hard out at 8:25.
Oh, hard. Whoa.
Yeah, Dong City.
I thought you were taking Dong City to a whole nother level, baby.
Well, I mean, now that I talked about Jackie Bradley Jr.'s free agency, like, who knows what to expect under this desk right here. Rob's got Taijuan Walker going to the Rangers. That's enough. I just look at the Rangers where, like, they had Bartolo Colon. Now they had Lance Lynn's fat ass. Now you got Taijuan. Like, that would be a good fit. That's not a bad guess, Rob.
Yeah. I can see it.
Yeah, that's our top 15. Jake says Giants, Yamiori Giants.
That's right.
MLB Trade Rumors did have an Asian import who I have not actually researched on their list. I don't remember who that is.
I did see that, but I do not know much about him, and I don't want to pretend that I do. So
sight unseen. I know nothing about his scouting report. I know nothing about him except he's a pitcher. Toronto Blue Jays. That's the guy the Toronto Blue Jays might go after.
Okay. We did get
Asian population.
We did get 2 awards announced today. We have the AL Rookie of the Year and the NL Rookie of the Year. The NL Rookie of the Year surprised the hell out of me. It went to Devin Williams. I was going to say Devin Walker. Devin Williams. Shocked me because he's a middle reliever. And you don't really get that. I thought a guy who played less would get it, which is Cabrian Hayes. For Pittsburgh, I thought you were going to have that Gary Sanchez kind of thing where he didn't play enough, but that kid went off. And like I said, they got it right in the AL, baby. Kyle Lewis. Kyle Lewis is that man. While everyone talked about Luis Robert and everyone else, Kyle Lewis was that man, and they awarded him, and it was unanimous. So I'm with that.
Love the Kyle Lewis pick. That dude was consistent. He was on a dog shit team in a pitcher's park, and he still put up consistent numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Great defensively. Totally deserved it. I know Ribeiro was the sexy pick all year long, but honestly, Kyle Lewis deserved it. First Mariner Rookie of the Year hat tip robbed since Ichiro, which means that the Mariners will not make the playoffs for the duration of his career. And here's the interesting bit. NL, I'm surprised only because he's a middle reliever, but he had a season that will never be duplicated. Maybe he was so ridiculous. Who would be your second pick in the NL? I saw a lot of Jake Cronenworth.
Jay Cronenworth was good.
Movement.
Tony, you could have gone with Tony Gonsolin. Like I said, the year that Ke'Bryan Hayes had with the Pirates, man, I really enjoyed that dude. You know, he only played 25 games, I think.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Yeah.
Tony Gonsolin, I get it. He was, with a big market team, and he's not among the stars with everyone else, but he just did just as good. That swing and miss rate, like Jake pointed out, is crazy, but hey, it is what it is.
We will find out the other awards as this week goes on. Prieto from Cuba, Melvin brings up. Here's my only thought on that. I haven't researched him yet. He won't go to
No.
Yeah,
No. First of all, I'm pissed off at Cubans, especially Cubans in Florida. Y'all know why.
You should be, yeah. I am too.
Okay.
You're not allowed on my team. You didn't vote right.
Listen to me. The Hispanics in Arizona are better than the Hispanics in Florida right now, and they proved that last Tuesday. Okay.
Yeah. Mexicans.
Number 2. Yeah, I'm not letting you get away with that. It's Prieto.
Prieto.
At
least I can roll my R's.
I give it to you, but yeah, you're not going with Prieto.
I just don't know when to apply them because I haven't taken Spanish since I was 14.
Yeah, but right now,
Florida, Latino. So I'm going to South Florida for Thanksgiving because they yell at Cubans as I walk around on the street. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Cubans are on my shit list, man.
Yeah. So anyway, those are your top 15 free agents. That is, that was our rant on Cubans. Next week. Actually, a few announcements first. One is the baseball riddle that I had earlier in the day. I will go through that really quickly in case you didn't see the answer. Jeff Press actually did get it right, whether he cheated or not. I think he actually legitimately had heard it previously.
He said that shit down to everything that happened in the
I
order
know
that happened.
There's
no. What killed me is my man wrote, "Oh, this is easy. Get the fuck out of here."
That's the part that I laughed at.
Yeah.
So this riddle, which to remind you was, and this happened in 1890, for starters, 3 triples, 1 double, 2 singles in 1/2 inning, no runs scored. How is it possible? The correct answer was the leadoff hitter hit a triple. The next batter, there was a wild pitch. That guy was thrown out at home. So it's 1 out, 1 triple. The next batter hit a triple, tried to stretch it into an inside the park home run, was thrown out at home. So it's 2 outs, 2 triples. The next batter hits a triple. That's the 3rd triple, stays on 3rd. The next batter hits he bunts, and he bunts down the 3rd base line, and it just keeps rolling. So the runner on 3rd can't advance, but the batter actually gets to 2nd for an infield bunt double. So there's your double. Now we have 2 singles left, runners on 2nd and 3rd. The next batter also bunts. This is some Mike Scioscia 1890s shit. And it also goes down the 3rd base line. Runner on 3rd and 2nd still can't advance. It ends up staying fair. That runner reaches on an infield on a bunt singles. Now you have bases loaded. You have 3 triples, a double, 2 and 1 single. You have 1 more single left. The next batter rips one into right field. It actually clips the runner on 1st and goes into right field. So the ruling on that is that it's credited with a single, but the run doesn't score because the runner's out on 1st going to 2nd. So that is how you get it. So no runs scored, but you had 3 triples, a double, and 2 singles.
And someone had the nerve to say, "Oh, it's easy. Here's the answer." Fuck out of here.
Yeah. No one's coming up with that unless
I did say I did know the answer only because Tim Kirchin did mention it couple seasons ago on Baseball Tonight. You know, he has like the weird things that happen in baseball, and he had brought that up. That was the only reason I knew it. For anyone to say that that was an easy answer or they knew it, they're full of shit.
Yeah. Now, I will say I know Jeff personally, so I don't think he was purposely being deceitful. I think just his wording was he's actually heard it before and was just regurgitating. By the way,
Right.
Cubs fans, Braves fans, Mets fans, and Twins fans, and Yankees fans, I have now heard that that's the 2020 version of that team when I described that riddle. So 5 different fan bases claiming how incompetent their offense is. Our last thing, Secret Santa.
Yes.
Joey, we mentioned we would mention him again. Joey and Tara, who run Secret Santa every year, they have opened it up this year. Now, obviously, if you're watching this show, you very likely are a participant in baseball life and therefore are eligible to be in it. We had a few people
Correct.
get burned last year, so if you are a fly-by-night guy who only responds to political posts with anger, you're probably not qualified. And if you're someone who comes out of the woodwork because you want to get a gift, you're also not qualified. But everyone else, please feel free to participate. You don't have to go crazy with a gift. Whatever you can afford.
We actually have a gift committee.
Yeah.
It is Leon, it is Jacob, it is Joey, and it is myself. And we will go through the participants and we will decide who is able to participate and who is not. And most of that will come based on your participation in the group in the last year, because unfairly, a few people got shafted last year, and kudos to Joey and some other folks that they were able to get together and make sure that the people who needed to get gifts got gifts. And so, this will be our 4th year doing it. Yeah, our 4th year doing it. So yeah. I want to make sure that, this is run smoothly, and Joey has done a hell of a job every single year doing this. So, we're going to be a little more strict with who can participate, and we may even have to, place a cap on it. So.
Yeah. And their job is hard enough. If you've ever had to wrangle that many people into getting home addresses via the internet and hat sizes and shirt sizes and team preferences, it's a lot of work. We don't want to make their lives harder. They do a great job every year. This is where they really shine. That's it. So if you're interested, please go respond. Joey has a post, and we can get that going. Now,
this is something that we do every year, and our small group has kind of blossomed into a pretty big group.
Yeah.
But our core members are who our core members are, and we want to keep that familial setting that we have. We are very strict with who we let into this baseball family, so we want to make sure that nothing dubious happens. So.
Right. So, some other announcements. For the first time in 8 months, we will not be on next Monday. So we're moving into our off-season schedule. We're going to try and do this bi-weekly, just so we can let some baseball news collect every other week.
We're doing baby daddy schedule.
Yep. We'll have some
every other weekend
theme shows throughout the winter. We'll also have some stuff, free agent landings, analysis, current events, that type of stuff as well. But we will not be on next week. I will be on vacation anyway. The week after that, Henry, you should be on. We'll see how it goes. But I will still not be here, so I'll be back probably in like a month. My longest, I'll just probably practice in the mirror for the next months because I'll miss it so much.
No, I'll be on, and then we'll have some topics, and we'll find a way to get through.
We'll be back 2 weeks from now, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Of course, we'll have a post letting you know as we get close to that. As always, tomorrow, Oh,
wait, I'm sorry. I wanted to plug Melvin. Melvin has been keeping us updated with the Winter Leagues, and we'll continue to do so with the Caribbean World Series. So be sure to check his posts on keeping us updated. Thanks for reminding us. Melvin, Winter Leagues do start next week.
Definitely something to follow in the off season for sure is Melvin's posts. And he did a great job with the brackets as well. Yep. So tomorrow, the Audible, you're into football, Tuesdays, 7 p.m. So tomorrow, 7 p.m., Randy Hammond, Matt Bushnell. I'm sure they'll have all of the great highlights from this Patriots-Jets game tonight. I mean, that game should just be a slobber knocker if I've ever seen one. So be sure.
Wait.
Yeah. Oh, man. Monday Night Football knows how to pick them instead of watching Donk City. That's all I have to say.
It's bad enough we had that Thursday night matchup. Now we have to suffer through this.
Yeah, for sure. Total Bases Sunday. They just had their prediction show or their award ceremony show yesterday. Make sure you go back and watch that. Total Bases Sunday mornings. Felipe Malicio and Sean Flannery. Didn't call him Sean Connery this time. Rip Sean Connery. 2 weeks from now, Dong City, 7 p.m. This has been Dong City. Everyone, have a great night.
Dong City, bitches.